Does Russia take their population decline to be a threat? I watched a video of the Armenia Azerbaijan war in which the Russian made robots were used. Please tell more. Um, okay, that's two very different questions. Let's take the question of the population decline in Russia. I'm not sure what the total fertility rate in Russia is, but it must be definitely significantly below 2.1. 2.1 children per female is the replacement rate. If a nation has a total fertility rate of 2.1 children per woman, then the population remains the same. It doesn't grow, it doesn't decrease, it remains more or less the same. So that's replacement level TFR 2.1. In India, our TFR is now 2.0. We are below replacement. Our population is going to start declining, which means over time, our average age, median age will start increasing. In China, the TFR is what, 1.1 or something? China is the TFR has reached crisis levels, catastrophic levels, and there's no going back from it. China is gonna witness a demographic disaster in a few decades. Japan also, the TFR is extremely low, 1.2 or something. Once again, very bad for society because the population is gonna start aging very rapidly and declining. Russia, I think, what's the TFR? Let's try and ask our good friend Google, shall we? So if you go to Google and Russia TFR, you search for that. TFR. What's the TFR right now? It's 1.826, which is not terribly bad. I was imagining it'll be like 1.5 or something. And it's an increase of 0.05% from 2023. In 23, the fertility rate TFR was 1.825. Now it's 1.826. So overall, the TFR seems to be slowly, gradually increasing in Russia. Let's see the macro trends thing. What do we have? So you look here from the 1960s onwards. What's the blue line? What's the thing? Okay, it's giving you all kinds of data. Is it about Russia? It's about Russia fertility rate. And okay, annual percentage change births per woman. Take a look at the blue graph. So it was so since the 2020s, it's around 1.8 something. Around 2000, it was 1.2, which is bad. In 1988, it was 2.1, which was replacement level. And the 50s, it was 2.8, and so on. So right now it's 1.8 something, and slowly, gradually, there's some small change. So overall, it is not as alarming as you would imagine. But yes, I think the country should take it very seriously. Population decline is a danger, it is a threat. And some people will argue that decreasing population is good because it lightens the burden on the planet. I take your point, but understand this. When a country's total fertility rate declines drastically, the birth rate plummets. As a consequence, the median age of the population starts increasing. So if let's take a look at China, for example. Let's shall we look? Yeah, let's take a look at the Chinese TFR to put things in perspective. Okay. So we had Russia TFR. Let's look for China TFR. What is the Chinese TFR? 1.7 in 22. Not sure about that. It was so if you look at this, okay, verification, etc. Look, if you look at the Chinese TFR, birth rate is less than death rate. It's becoming irreversible. Um, Statista. Let's see what Statista has to say. Yeah, it's 1.16, 1.18. It's terrible in China. So what this does, what does it mean? It means that the Chinese population is gonna start shrinking because the birth rate is less than the death rate. So the Chinese population starts shrinking. There are fewer children being born, and the average age of the population starts increasing. So by 2050, if your average age in China is 60 years, it means the average person anywhere in China is 60 years old. So where are you going to get the energy from, the vigor from, the vitality from? How are you going to send soldiers to the armed forces? You're going to have a smaller and smaller pool of young men or women who can join the armed forces. It's bad, isn't it? So, so it's dangerous to have a very rapidly decreasing TFR. In a nation like India, with a population of 1.4 billion, our ideal population in the subcontinent should be around 300 million. So some people will argue that let's decrease the population very drastically, very fast, have a one-child policy, but then you'll end up like China. For a nation like India, if our ideal population is 300 million and we are at 1.4 billion, we should give ourselves 100 years or 200 years to reach 300 million, not 50 years. That is disaster. So you have to understand math and all that to be able to appreciate these arguments, but it is a dangerous thing. So I'm sure the Russians are taking this very seriously. The Russian government is a very serious government. Mr. Putin is a genuine nationalist and patriot. If Mr. Putin gets his succession right eventually, I think if he gets that right, and he ensures the right leader comes to power after him, then I think in a century, Mr. Putin will be known as Putin the Great. He is genuinely that great. I thought, yeah.